And that is us live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another MMA UK live show. My name's Lewis Smith, and as always, thank you very much for watching us. We do appreciate the support. Tonight, we've got a special show, guys. It might be a little bit of a longer one. We're going to be speaking tonight about the Cage Warriors Trilogy shows that are coming up this week. 3 shows, 3 nights, and a hell of a lot of good fights on those cards. So we're going to talk through a few of them, get some predictions in from the gang, and yeah, this should be a pretty good show, guys. So strap in, get your drinks. It's going to be a while, I think, and yeah, enjoy the show. So first of all, I just want to give a big shout out to my esteemed and illustrious colleagues who's joining me on this show tonight. First of all, obviously, I got to come first to the magnificent Katie Hunter. Katie, how are you this evening?
I'm really good, Lewis. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I had a bit of a manic one today. We've been out there. Obviously, my borough in Wales has been thrown into lockdown again today, so I've had a little bit of a mad one out doing some stories about that, but glad to come back and do a bit of MMA chat tonight now and get the coronavirus out of my head a little bit, I think. But is everything good with you, Katie?
Yeah, all good here, all good. Do you want me to chat about our sponsor before we go any further?
Tell us a little bit about our sponsors, Katie.
So Fight Fuel is a supplement and clothing company founded by martial artists for martial artists and all combat sport athletes. The aim of the company is to supply supplements and clothing of the highest standard to all fighters and warriors so they can train, perform and win. Brilliant. And I'm supposed to put a banner up at this point to show you how to get the discount, but I'm afraid I can't find it.
There you are. We've got them up in the top corner. Big shout out to Fight Fuel. We appreciate you guys as well. And one thing I got to ask, Katie, were you reading that out? Is it fighters and warriors or warriors? Did you mean
warriors?
What are they worrying about?
There we go. There we are.
Are you taking the piss out of my accent already, Lewis?
So is it for warriors as well, though, or is it just warriors?
Well, this is going to be a long show.
It's going to be a long show tonight. There we go. Chris Emmanuel, been a couple of weeks since I spoke to you, buddy. How are you getting on?
I'm good, mate. I'm very good. Just looking forward to this, actually.
Yeah, you ready to talk about these fights tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going face to face with Katie Hunter over a couple of them.
Oh, yeah. There we go. I think everybody's looking forward to you to going head to head. And last but not least, Glenn Sledge Williams. Glenn, how's it, buddy? You okay?
Oh, I'm pretty good, Lou. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, buddy. All the better for seeing you, Glenn, of course.
As always. How is everyone? Hello, Kate. Hello, Chris. How's it going?
Nice to see you, Kate.
Lovely to see you, Glenn.
I'm going to cut you off straight away there, Glenn, because one thing I did mention at the start is that there's actually 26 fights coming up in 3 days, Thursday to Saturday. A hell of a lot of fights. We're going to try and get through as many as we can. I don't think even MMA UK will be able to get through all of these fights, but we're going to do our best to try and get through as many of them as we can. And so, yeah, let's fly straight into it. I'm going to start off with the first card. Guys, we're going to give some predictions. If you want to give your predictions in the comment down below, please do, and let us know what you think as well. And we're starting off with Cage Warriors 114, and that is going to be on Thursday night. Guys, make sure you tune in to this one. We've got a main card, which starts off with a flyweight title fight between Samir Fadin and Luke Shanks. A big fight there. Chris Emmanuel, I'm going to come to you first on this one, buddy. What do you think of this fight, and how do you see it going?
Okay, so Fadin really did shock the world when he beat Sam Creasy to win the title. Sam, I'm sure we'll talk about later on, is one of the best young martial artists. Well, not quite so young anymore, but he always looks it. But he's one of the most talented martial artists that we've got in the UK. And it just looked like it was Sam's to win. So for him to actually win the belt, for Fadin to get that title, I thought was something quite special. So he's on a 2-fight win streak at the moment, but he had lost 3 beforehand. So whether he is the best 125er in Cage Warriors, I think maybe remains to be seen. I'm happy for him to prove me wrong, and I'm sure that I'll get a call out from him if he does, because people seem to do that when I completely predict against them. Luke Shanks done really, really well. Luke did all of his formative training at BST in Northampton, where I train. So I know the level of training that he had. I know the talent the guy's got. He's just one of those all-rounded, really strong fighters. He's 6-1. He moved up to Scotland a couple of years ago to train at higher level, and bearing in mind that he had an amazing team at BST, moving to higher level seems to have suited him even better. because since then he's just developed even further as a fighter. He's well-rounded, he's talented, he's strong, he brings some amazing pressure, got knockout power in his hands. For me, on this one, it's got to be Shanks all day long. I think it's going to be a bad night for Samir, and I think that Shanks could probably finish him in the first round.
Bold prediction there. Kate, are we in agreement with this one or no?
Yeah, we are actually. Maybe one of the few of the night that we'll be in agreement on. But we actually had a quick chat before we went live, Lewis, and I said a few of the same comments that Chris said there. But I think it's really hard to pick against Luke in this fight, and I think it's maybe the most one-sided title fight out of the 5 of them. But
Really?
now that I've said that, I've probably given it the kiss of death. But I think the level of competition that Luke's faced recently, and like Chris said, that 3-fight losing streak from Samir before he won the last 2, I really see this being Luke's. I really see us getting a change of champion on this one.
Yeah, fair play. Good prediction there from you, Katie Hunt there. And Glenn the Sledge Williams, what are you saying about this flyweight title match?
Nothing left to say, really. I think Chris said it all. He said everything I've got written down anyway. I didn't know much about Samir, apart from the fact that he beat Sam Creasy, who I will always remember. I wasn't really into MMA then, but when he had that barnstormer against Desi, I think it was years ago, everyone talks about that now. And obviously his hands and everything. And I think Luke Shank could beat him a couple of different ways. So, I'm going to go with Luke as well.
Yeah.
And Peter agrees if anyone cares.
No one cares about Peter's opinion. Literally no one. Not even his own missus.
There we go. I'm gonna round that off with a Luke Shanks prediction for myself as well. We've got all four in agreement for this one. Luke Shanks for the win.
Also, shout out to Miles there, Miles Painter. Great to see you.
Hello, Miles. Evening. Thank you for joining us. And then we've also got one of the fighters who's just sent a comment in.
There's
Chris,
no
tell these people what you've witnessed at BST. Keep seeing people say I'm going to get smashed.
Jordan,
prove us wrong, Ted. Prove I'm wrong.
Just wait for your fight to come up, because
we're coming on to that, Jordan.
We've got a few things to say to each other.
There you go. So we'll jump straight into the next fight then. Big shout out Jordan as well. Jake Hadley versus Hajj. Glenn Williams, I'll come to you first for this one, seeing as you went last time. What do you think of this fight? But he hit another flyweight bout. What do you think here?
I wasn't too clued up about either of them, right? So I've had a good look this afternoon. Shad Hack has beaten a few names. Sam Creasy, Desi, Mr. Pink. So he's got a good CV for that. Hadley's unbeaten 5-0. So I haven't wrote the prediction down for this because I didn't know them both well enough to pick one, to be honest. But based on his experience and who he's beaten, I wouldn't be surprised if his all goes.
Yeah. Kate Hunter, anything to add to this one?
I think this is a really difficult one to call. And I think it's going to be a really, really good fight. And Chris, you said when we were talking over messages, the way that these cards are set is just really kind of ironing out where the flyweight division is going to be in the next few cards, and some other divisions as well. And this obviously is going to play into who fights for the title next. And it's one of the ones I'm most on the fence about. I'm really torn. I'm going to listen to what the rest of you say first before I make my prediction.
So it's coming down to you then, Chris Emmanuel. What do you think? Shad Hack versus Jake Hadley? Jake Hadley.
Surprisingly, I'm going to be really bold. Shad Hack was one of the reasons I actually started watching UK MMA. That guy is so good to watch. His movement is absolutely astounding. He bounces around the cage. He's really hard to hit. His energy levels are ridiculously high as well. He actually reminds me, and if he's watching this, Sarge, I'm really sorry. This isn't meant as an insult. This is actually meant as a compliment. But he reminds me of Chun-Li from Street Fighter. Now, when you're a kid and you played as Chun-Li Chun-Li was absolutely astounding, but she'd kill you by, death by 1,000 cuts, wouldn't it? She would literally cut you to pieces by just taking you apart systematically. And Hajj is like that. The problem Hajj has, though, he's too small for 125, and he's always been too small for 125. Realistically, if he could fight at 115, he'd be an absolute terror. If he could go out to fight in one, he would be absolutely amazing. That would suit him perfectly. The problem he's got is he's fighting against Jake Hadley, and as Glenn said, he's 5-0. But if you look at Jake Hadley's resume, Jake Hadley is the EFC world title holder, beating Zulu out in South Africa, where he's just brought in to lose. There's no way on earth that the team at EFC wanted a guy from Birmingham to be their world title holder when they've got this superstar out in South Africa. It just swept away everyone in front of him. And Hadley just put it on him. He's called White Kong for a reason, because the kid has just got ridiculous strength. He trains in Birmingham. He used to be at UTC with Natty Fredericks, with the Edwards brothers, Tom Breeze, all those guys. He's such a well-rounded, talented, stupidly hyper-aggressive little git. I just can't see past him. So for me, as much as I love Shaj Haq, I think that Jake's just too big and too strong for him, and I think that Jake is going to be the next person fighting for the title against Luke Shanks.
I do kind of agree with you there, Chris, as well. I'm a big fan of Shaj. Watched him for a long time, and in all the fights Glenn said, obviously fighting and beating quite a lot of the Welsh guys down in the bottom lower divisions. But with this one, with MMA, I just got this feeling that MMA is momentum is such a big thing, and him winning that title and being on this unbeaten streak, I think that does mean a lot when you're coming in with momentum. And for me, I'm going to go with the same prediction as you. I think Jake takes this one. I think it's going to be a decision, a close fight, but I think he gets the job done.
I think he finishes him. I think he's actually going to finish him. But like you said, momentum is really important. And Shaj hasn't fought since 2018. And it's not through his own fault. He's tried to get fights. He's tried his hardest to get fights. But, Jake's fought, 3 times since Shaj last has. And, he's still only 24 and he's up and coming. It wouldn't surprise me if he is one of the... Where are they now with the number of fights if I go to the UFC? Is it 98, 99?
97, I think, yeah. Next on 98.
Well, I'll make the bold prediction that he is definitely going to go to the UFC before number 105.
There you go.
Wow.
Big prediction. Can I push the other two for a prediction after that concise breakdown from Chris Emmanuel?
Yeah, no, you've won me over. I'll go with Jake. Miles had that as fight of the night as well. I think that's a really good observation as well about how long people have been out for, because obviously most people have been out for at least 6 months. And then some of them, if they didn't fight just before going into lockdown, a lot of the guys that I was looking up on here haven't fought for well over a year, some of them 2 years. And a lot can happen in that time. Will there be ring rust? Will they have come on leaps and bounds since then? People aren't going to know as much about their opponents from watching footage as they might sometimes otherwise know.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Glenn, any last words for this one?
Yeah, sorry, Chris, but no, I don't like to listen to anybody else. I like to make my own mind up. So I'm going to go with my own thought and go Shaq Haq. Sorry, mate. As good as that breakdown was, it was bloody good. Okay.
No, I love Shaj. I've got if Shaj wins, I'm happy. I love that guy. He's so fun to watch.
It's interesting what you said about South Africa and winning out there.
What's that? Sorry.
It's interesting about what you said about going out to South Africa and winning out there. So, I mean, he's going to have lots of confidence off that.
He's very confident anyway, Jake. I've seen him. I think the first time I saw him was on Golden Ticket a few years ago, and he was literally just a child. And he's, he looks young as well. And he demolished Darryl Grant. He knocked him out. And from there onwards, he's just got better and better and better.
There we go. So we're looking forward to that fight then. On to the next one, which is Madaz Flaminess versus Matthias Big Black. Katie Hunter, I'll come to you first this time. What do you make of this one? Third fight of the night down.
Yeah, it's an interesting fight, and again, it's one of those that's going to help to set out the rest of the division, depending on what happens in other fights over these 3 nights. Madaz has only lost to Adam Proctor, and he's beaten some good guys. Matthias has only lost to Ngari, but then he's 3-1. I think he's got way less experience. I don't know that much about him, if I'm honest. obviously I don't even know who's related to, so thanks for correcting me, Chris. But I would go with, I've seen the Latvian Express in real life at Cage Steel. I reckon he's got enough experience to see this one through. But I will admit, this is one where I could get surprised.
There you go. Chris Emmanuel, anything to add to that one?
Out of the main card, this one I know least about. Flaminess I've seen fight. I think he's talented and I think he's good. And simply off the back of that, I'm going to pick him.
Well, Glenn Williams?
Yeah, I've seen them both fight, but I don't know much about them, like I said. But like, so we had one of them on the main card, I thought, especially considering he's only had 4 fights. You know, on such a show so big, there's loads of people on the undercard that could have gone in instead of them, I think. But yeah, I'm going to go for that. I'm going to go for Madaz as well.
There you go. And for me, I'm also gonna go with the crew and go for Madaz. So we're going for a full house of Madaz there. And
he was Figlak was a replacement as well, wasn't he? I think he's only just stepped in. So
yes, it's tough. So we'll stick to that one then, guys. All in agreement there for Madaz, and that brings us on to the next fight, which is Aaron Khalid versus Mick Stanton at welterweight. So far the main and co-main of this card is flyweight fights. The next 2 down then are welterweight fights. And this is the second welterweight fight on the main card. Aaron Khalid versus Mick Stanton. A really good fight, this one. Glenn, I'll come to you first. I know you've trained a little bit with Aaron. You're a big fan of his. What do you see happening in this fight?
Believe it or not, I haven't actually trained with Aaron.
You've not?
Struan always trains them. I don't. But I know Aaron, like these big mates of Struan and Franco. I speak to him regularly. You know, he's but it's interesting, right, that Stanton's dropped down from middleweight. And I don't think, sorry Aaron if you're watching, I don't think Aaron's a big welterweight. I think he'd be a perfect 165 if he was a division. But still, I still think this could be a brilliant fight. What we've got to think of is Aaron is 2 losses. He lost to Ross Houston twice, who's obviously world champion, gone on. Alex Lahore he lost to, which also has gone on. So I think a good win by you, and possibly one more, he could be back in the mix for a title shot. So I'm hoping the pressure's not going to get to him, and he's just going to take it as another fight, which I think this could possibly be the fight of the night to offer him the main card. I think there's loads of good fights on the prelims, but this for me, all right, flyweights tend to be quicker, sharper, more crisp, but I think this could be, they could both have it all. It could turn into, I think they both grapplers as well, but it could end up being a slugfest. So I don't know where it's going to go, or they could end up being a good show of BJJ from both fighters. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, and that's not me being biased to Aaron. I just think it's got potential to be a great fight, this one out.
Yeah, Katie Hunter, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, not a lot for me to add to that. I agree with you on everything you said there, Glenn. It could be a factor, Mick being bigger, but I don't know. I just think Aaron's going to have enough, and I think, yeah, like you said, he's only lost to the very best recently, and I see this being his for the taking. He also seems to be really pleased that Proctor is up for the title, having a win over him. So I feel like that's kind of invigorated him and kind of made him think that he's not that far away, you know, if the cards fell the right way.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think Aaron he's only a very short distance away from that title shot now, especially if, you know, let's just say Mason won it and goes to the UFC and vacates. So even if Proctor won it, you know, Aaron wins this fight, you'd think with a win over him, he's got to be in with a shout at that next title shot. So results going the right way, I think Aaron's definitely up there. And for me, I think one thing you said there, Glenn, is why I was thinking this could be like a really high-paced BJJ match. And for me, I think Aaron might just have enough to do it. So I'm going to predict him. Also, you know, got to keep that Welsh.
And for me as well, I'm not sure who Stanton trains with, and I don't know what team he's from. But Aaron having a high-level welterweight in his gym as his coach as well, to spar day in, day out with, could be the edge that he needs. I mean, what better sparring partner to have every day than Lou Long?
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Chris, anything to add to this one? How are you predicting this fight, buddy?
You know, this was the one I found really difficult to predict because Khalid, he's Mr. Cage Warriors, isn't he? He's had 9 of his 15 fights on Cage Warriors. if you include the Cage Warriors Wales card. And he's got great wins against Jamie Richardson, who we're going to be talking about later. He's got a win against Hakan Foss. The Ross Houston fights, they weren't whitewashes, they were close fights.
No.
You know, and Houston's now going on to headline Bellator Paris against Michael Venom Page. So it shows the standard of the type of people that he's lost to. And like Glenn said, you know, Alex Lahore went off to, was it PFA Alex went off to? Or PFL, sorry. But yeah, you know, Khalid's a talented guy, but Mick Stanton's someone who's completely changed the way that he fights. You go back a couple of years, and he's called was it Houghton or Heighton? I can't remember the name of the area in Liverpool. The Heighton Hammer, because he hits like a train. You know, he's so strong and he's so powerful. And a couple of years ago, he just changed his training up, and he started to become far more wrestling centric. And we watched him against Michael Eunice, who is a proper unit. You know, I've watched Eunice fight from heavyweight all the way down, and at heavyweight, he was still big. You know, so coming down to middleweight. And Stanton was ragdolling this absolute man mountain around. And he's brought his grappling game on massively. And Stanton's had a couple of grappling bouts recently. Grapple Fest 7, Grapple Fest 9. He beat Andy Walsh, and then he beat Kieran Malone, which I think is quite telling as well this year. So he's in a good position as well. He's won 3 of his last 4. You know, he's a big talented guy, but you know, Glenn said he doesn't know where he trains. He set up his own gym last year, I think it was, Mick Stanton. So I don't know who he's got in training with him. So it could be that difference of Khalid's got the likes of Lou Long with him. I don't know who Stanton's got with him, but I don't know which way to go at all with this one. It depends entirely on what 2 guys turn up on the night. It could be that Stanton stands there and just pops one on Khalid, and if Stanton hits you clean, then you're going out no matter how big and tough you are. But Khalid's eating a hell of a lot of shots off some really big talented fighters, and he's come back and he's put them away. So just to be an absolute arsehole, I'm just going to say I'll go Mick Stanton just because you guys have gone Khalid, not for any reason other than just to argue with you.
Here you go.
Miles is Aaron by submission.
Yeah, I got this. Tell him, Miles boy.
I'll tell you what, Miles is like an encyclopedia of MMA. So anyone who doesn't know Miles Painter, he works with us at MMA UK, and he does the across the pond write-ups of fighters. And most of the time he's writing about fighters I haven't got a clue about. I've literally never, but he knows them inside out, their entire histories, where they've gone, their skill sets. If Miles is saying that, then I'm going to be wrong, I think.
Big shout out to Miles.
Obviously coming to the last fight then of this card, Cage Warriors 114, another flyweight bout, Adam Ambrose versus Conor Hignette. Good fight. Chris, what's your thoughts on this one, buddy?
Amasinger is technically brilliant. You watch him, the way that he moves. He's one of those fighters that thinks through everything. I've got one of the fighters who I manage, Aaron Alay. He trains with Amasinger day in day out, and he's been working with him to prepare for this fight. They actually fought each other on Cage Warriors a few years ago, and pretty much from there onwards, they've trained together at NFM. Now, Adam's obviously got the family pedigree. Dean Amasinger, another one of my favourite ever British fighters. And Dean is now the head coach at the UFC Centre of Excellence, whatever it's called, out in China. So you can tell the pedigree of martial arts in that family. They are something special. And I think that Adam's probably going to be, is probably going to surpass what his brother did, because Dean got up to tough. He was on the Ultimate Fighter. It didn't, you know, and at that point, it was ridiculously high level for British MMA, but I think that Adam's probably going to go past him. Now Conor's on a 2-fight win streak, but Conor's just got the knockout power. If he catches you, you're going to sleep, like what happened to Darren O'Gorman, because O'Gorman just ruined him for a couple of rounds, and then from nowhere, Conor Hignette knocked him out. So he's always got that puncher's chance, but in terms of skill set, I say that Amasinger is superior, and I would back Adam Amasinger to go all the way. But you know, like we said earlier, that 125 division in Cage Warriors is one of the best 125 divisions about. They've contracted all of these amazingly talented fighters, and they've got them all scrapping it out. And you know, Ian Dean matches them really well to test them against each other. And this is a big test for Amasinger, but I think that he should get the win.
Yeah, Katie Hunt, there. What's your thoughts? How are you predicting this one?
Yeah, I do agree with Chris about Adam's pedigree, and just I feel like he's really stepped it up recently as well. He's always been a good fighter, but that last fight was something really special. Just the fight IQ, as well as the ability to like take people out at such a low weight. You know, a lot of these flyweight fights don't get finished, but he does get finishes, and that was a really nice fight. His last one, Connor's last fight, like Chris said, was just a comeback bonkers fight. So I just don't feel like you can write him off at all. And I would say that I think Adam's going to win, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if Connor pulled something crazy out the bag, and we've seen him do it before. So yeah, I'm going with Adam, but I wouldn't be surprised.
So, MMA math tells me.
Oh, not MMA math, Glenn. Don't do it, man.
I'm no good at fucking normal math. Never mind MMA math. He beat Shanks as an amateur, Adam Singer, and Connor's lost to Shanks.
Yeah.
So, judging by that, he shouldn't stand the chance. Judging by that. But anyway, hasn't Adam Singer lost to Scott Malone?
Yes.
Yeah, and then
KO,
I
think he got KO'd by Scott, didn't he?
Yeah, so that's where I think I'd worry against Connor. I mean, is that chance of them getting caught, like Chris said. But that being said, I'm going to go Adam Singer anyway. Because again, I'm not that quite sure about Connor, but I know Adam Singer. I've seen him a few times, and yeah, he's impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. That's all I got written down.
There you go. For me, do you know what? I'm going to do a Chris Emmanuel on this one. I'm quite 50-50 on it. So because everyone else is going for Adam, I'm going to go for Connor. And yeah, I'm going to be contrary. I'm going to do a Chris Emmanuel and go for Connor.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. He's definitely got it in him.
There we go. One more thing we want to mention. Obviously, that's our 5 main card fights on this Cage Warriors 114. Great show. But one we have to mention just quickly before we move on to Cage Warriors 115 is an undercard fight. A Welsh guy, a guy that's got a tremendous amount of hype down here at the moment. He is, of course, Mr. Oban Elliott, and he's going to be fighting Michael Figlak. Really, really good fight. Really looking forward to this one. I think a lot of us was surprised that this didn't make it to the main card after he co-main evented the last Cardiff Ice Arena show. But, you know, he's headlining the undercard. Obviously, Ian Dean and these guys, they always have a reason for how they structure the cards, so we'll leave the judgment with them. But Glenn Williams, I know you wanted to speak a little bit about this one because Oban really is a big prospect coming out of Wales at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't think Oban needs me to wipe him up. He does, you know, he got a big enough following. He's the talk of town everywhere you go around here in the MMA world. Everyone is, people who not really into MMA say to me that about Oban and his future and stuff. But I think this could be a test he needs. I say test, I think he's going to walk through him. But Figlak is respected. He got 2 good wins. I think he's actually lost to Oban's teammate, the Tank, as an amateur. This is off the top of my head. I haven't even looked. I'm just going by what I remember. But yeah, I think, and everyone's telling me about how different Oban's looking in the last year. Because I think it's coming up to the year that he hasn't fought for. I think he fought, I think it was last October when he fought James Philly in the Ice Arena.
Yeah.
But everyone's telling me how hard he works and how much he's changed in the last year. So I think we're in for a treat, I think. And I just can't wait to Thursday.
Yeah. Chris Emmanuel, anything you wanted to throw in there?
I love Oban Elliott. I'm not going to lie. I love him. He's just a cocky, brash little git. But he does it in the absolutely perfect way where he doesn't overstep the mark. He doesn't have that arsehole element to him at all. He's a good lad. He's confident in his ability. He's evil's the perfect nickname for him as well, because he is an evil little sod when he gets into the cage. He truly tries to hurt people. So he trains with Richard, doesn't he, Glenn?
Yeah, he trains up so much martial arts now.
Yeah. So
I've trained with him, and as a striker, he can still wrestle. You know, he can grapple. Don't think he's a one-trick pony.
But look at his training with. He's training with Jack. Brett's up there now as well. Brett Johns. Every time you see Oban come out as well, he looks better and better. But like Glenn said, this is going to be a tough test for him, and I think it's going to be his hardest fight to date because whilst you look at Michael Figlak and you see he's 2-0, Him and his brother spent a good year out in Thailand, and they were training and they were fighting, and they are superb. What's Bradley Wharton saying? Prelims are free to view, so any non-Fight Pass subscribers will be able to see our brands. That's virtually Alan Partridge-esque, isn't it? chocolate oranges are available at Rawlinson's. But no, Mike Figlack, anyway, he's trained out. He trained and fought out for a year out in Thailand. He's an absolutely top class Muay Thai fighter. So he's gonna be able to handle pressure. And I think that it's not going to be a quick, easy win for Oban. But Oban comes through this, then Oban should be knocking on the door for the upper echelons of the division.
But you look at Oban's pedigree as kickboxer, right? All that being said, okay, his wrestling's decent, his BJ's decent. So how do you look to beat him? Put him on his back. You look at everyone in a show mixed martial arts, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, they all fight off your back anyway. So you go and roll with them. They're all fucking brilliant off your back. So if he's bought into that and is the same as the rest of them, he's going to be a fucking problem for sorry.
Of course.
He's going to be a problem for everyone.
But you've got to take into account as well, though, Figlack's trained at Trojan Free Fighters for years. So when he's in the UK, he's been at Trojan in Worcester, and Trojan have chucked out some absolutely amazing fighters as well. So he's going to be well-rounded in BJJ as well. But, you know, there's well-rounded and there's, you know, evil Oban Elliott. And Oban he's a talent. He's real talent.
Yeah, definitely.
I
do just want to say, I want to just quickly read out Brad's comment there to say, Brad Wharton has said, prelims are free to view, so any non-Fight Pass subscribers can see Oban's fight. That's obviously great. If you don't subscribe to Fight Pass, get on there, and if you're an Oban Elliott fight or Michael Figlack, Oban Elliott fan or Michael Figlack fan, that's going to be a really good fight. Two young prospects who really want to win. So that is worth just jumping on to watch that if you don't want to pay even to watch the main card. Because
what time do the prelims start?
So they start
7:30.
at 7:30, yeah, and you've got 4 really good fights on there for free. So Brad obviously saying that he definitely is right. Log on, watch, and you've got 4 good fights there, headlined by a fight that could easily be on the main card, I think. So
100%. I'll go no ban as well, in case you wondered.
Yeah.
But never trust a gangster.
Never trust a gangster. Peter Knox is saying Brad, best commentator in Europe. Peter looking for brownie points there and a free Cage Warriors ticket.
What a brown noser.
Yeah, Peter looking for a free Cage Warriors ticket again. Look.
Maya, remind everyone who your favourites are.
There we go. So guys, I want to jump into this now. We're 30 minutes in. We've just done 1 card. So that's 1 of 3 done. We're moving on now to Friday, the 25th of September, and Cage Warriors 115. Another stacked card, guys. We've got a main card here. Another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big fights. Starting off with a bantamweight title fight. Jack Cartwright versus Gerardo Fanny. A huge fight. Jack Cartwright's on a bit of a roll at the moment. Complete knockout artist. Katie Hunter, what are you making of this one? Who are you picking?
You teed me up for the perfect line. I was going to say, I don't know a lot about Fanny. You guys should be the experts. I actually genuinely didn't know a lot about Gerardo Fanny. So I have managed to track down a couple of his fights, and he's he is going to put up a good fight. Ultimately, I do think that Jack Cartwright is going to walk away with the win, but they're both got some submissions, some knockouts on their record. I think it's going to be a really, really good fight. And I just wanted to say as well, I want Ian Dean to be buying my birthday and Christmas presents, because he does such a good job that I honestly, these whole cards are so stacked, and this one, some of the people that he puts together, I've never heard of Gerardo, and then you look into it and you suddenly get so excited for this matchup, and you think Jack Cartwright's going to walk through anyone until you look at the opponent, and I must admit I'm absolutely buzzing for this one now. I'm going to go for Jack still, but buzzing for it.
Yeah, and Jack, I don't think I'm mistaken. Jack's had 3 knockouts in his last 3 fights. Obviously, he won the Cage Warriors title. He did 2 fights in one night.
Did he not get a decision?
Decision against Village. Yeah,
my bad. There we go. So he's Well, he's won 3 of his last 3 fights anyway, so give me half marks for that one. But he's on a bit of a roll. He obviously looked great at that Cage Warriors tournament where he won the belt, 2 knockouts that night, wasn't it? And obviously defended it in his hometown last time. So I think Jack's a really big prospect. I think he's hungry. I think he's got the right mentality, and I'm going for Jack in this one. But Chris, what's your thoughts? Jack, Cartwright, and Fanny. How do you see it going?
I think, well, Jack Cartwright, the only, like you said, the last fight was his decision, but every other fight he's finished in the first round.
Yeah.
The guy is ridiculously violent. He's got KO power, which is way surpasses his weight. So it's a struggle to see past him. Like Katie, I had to look up Gerardo Fanny. Didn't know anything about him, but if you look at the level of opponents that he's had, I can't see him competing with Jack Cartwright, who has run through some very talented guys. Fanny's Dutch, so I'm guessing he's coming from a kickboxing background. I'm going to give a shout out to one of my Dutch fighters. We've recently signed Brian Hoy, who's fighting on Bellator Paris against David Gallon. And if you want to watch an amazing Dutch fighter, watch Brian Hoy fight, because this kid is special. But anyway, going back to Gerardo Fanny, can't see him beating Jack Cartwright. Jack Cartwright's going to be 9-0, and Jack Cartwright is going to be going to the UFC before number 100.
Yeah, and Jack, I'm going to give a shout out to Jack's haircut as well. He's got the rat tail at the back. You've got confidence when you're rocking the rat tail at the back, right? So
I'm just jealous because I can't do it. I'll
give a shout out to him for that as well. Glenn, what did you see in this one, buddy? How you going for it?
First time I seen him was on that 4-man tournament when he walked out and he was staring at his opponent. Reminded me of being in school youth club and somebody come for a fight. They'd walk around the corner, they'd be looking their chest out as if he wanted. But when he walked in and banged him, that's when I stood up and took notice. As for Gerardo Fanny, I've been on his Tapology before, and that way I went on, it was by mistake. Remember Cody fought Fanny Redmond?
Yeah.
So I searched Fanny MMA and his has come up. But I was
yeah. You had your excuses now.
So, but when I come up that he was fighting him, I thought he was French. I didn't, and then when I looked on today, I realised he's from the Netherlands. But I looked into him. He got good jits. His control is going to be good. But so did the last guy that Jack Cartwright fought. But he hit him everywhere, and he was. I'm going to say he's only a blue belt because he's a world champ. He's a world champion. He's a blue belt. He wasn't getting sucked in. He was knocking him down. He's picking the shots, pulling back out, standing back up. He was quite clever with it, not to be trapped in his guard and letting him fight over back. So if he can stay away from his jits again, I think, which he can, he got good wrestling, which he uses to keep the fight on his feet. He got a good sprawl. I think he can end up knocking him out.
Yeah, definitely. So that's the bantamweight title for Cage Warriors, a really good fight there, and a great division historically for Cage Warriors as well. So really looking forward.
And I think he signs for the UFC straight after.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Glenn, as well.
Yeah.
Straight away.
I think he's on his way.
Boylan did tease us a few months ago, didn't he, with a photo of him, Mason, and who was the other one? Saying could they be 97, 98, 98, 99, and 100?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I can't remember who the third one was though.
Paddy was on there, and there was somebody else as well. I think
Mason
there were
Jones, Jack Cartwright.
I think it was Paddy, wasn't it? Was the other one?
Yeah, I feel like there were some other people on there as well. It'll come to me.
Yeah, and another thing which I kind of falls.
It wasn't Frederick. It wasn't Matthias, is it?
Oh, it could have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe. It was.
What I was going to say with that, I spoke to Graham. Obviously, we done the interview the other day. So, guys, if you want to watch that, go through our page and have a look. But one of the things Graham said was that gotta do the name drop, gotta get the plug to get the views up, Glenn.
Me and my Betty Graham. Good old Grays, we had a chat like.
Glenn, don't be jealous, mate. It don't suit you. One of the things he said was that with obviously these Fight Island cards coming up now, people not being able to sort of travel as much, it is a big opportunity for our guys from the UK to get out there and get signed and go on these cards. So, if he gets a win there, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be very difficult for him not to get to the UFC, to be honest. To pull out in that division on one of those cards coming out, and I think he's the first name down. So, big shout out to Jack Cartwright. Big shout out to Fanny as well. Obviously, we want to see them both do well, but we kind of do. We got to go for the UK guys, and we got to see them do well. So, yeah, looking forward to that fight. And another one that's coming up next, and now this is one, I've got to be honest, this is the fight I'm probably most looking forward to of the whole weekend, apart from Mason Jones, and that is Matthias Frederick and Jamie Richardson for the middleweight title fight. Now, the reason I'm looking forward to this is because Jamie Richardson I don't think he's ever been in a boring fight. The guy is just an absolute savage. He brings it every time. And I mean, Matthias, we've seen in his last 2 fights, like, this guy is just an absolute savage. He doesn't stop. He's constantly coming forward, throwing bombs. If you take him down, he just jumps straight back up. Absolute animal. So when these two go head to head, I mean, I think we're going to see some real fireworks. And I really do think this is going to be the fight of the whole trilogy. I think it's going to be a crazy fight. I think if Jamie kind of steps up to the weight well, this is going to be an absolute bang. And this is my pick of the weekend, to be honest with you, this fight. And I think Jamie Richardson's going to get it done. I'm going against what a lot of people I've heard saying, but I think Jamie Richardson's going to get this one done. I think he's got great boxing. I can see him getting a stoppage finish here. I'm going for a bold one. I'm going to go for a 3rd round stoppage for Jamie Richardson for me in this one. And I'd love to hear what you got to say about that one, Katie Hunter. I know you interviewed Jamie the other day, and what do you think of this fight for the middleweight title, of course?
Yeah, it's actually the 3rd time in a row that Matthias has fought one of my teammates, James Webb twice, and now Jamie Richardson has been doing some training at BKK. So yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to see him get his shot. I was a little bit surprised, and I asked him if he was, because he's only had 1 fight back up at middleweight. His other wins were at welter. So obviously, Matthias has got that scary power, and he will have the size advantage. So he's going to have to fight a totally different fight than James Webb. And I just think he'll be using the fact that he's smaller to, use his speed. And he said that his cardio is great. And of course, I'm never going to pick against one of my guys. And I really think that he's going to do it, Lewis. So I'm picking Jamie. I know he's going to have an excellent game plan, and I'm just absolutely buzzing to see him go in and do there. And I'm really glad that he's got the opportunity. But like you say, Matthias is an absolute beast. We've seen that from the last 9 rounds with James Webb, and it's just going to be a super exciting, super explosive matchup, I think.
Yeah, he's a scary man. Matthias is a scary man. And Chris, I mean, I want to come to you next on this one. Do you think it's fair to say Jamie's an underdog going into this matchup?
Yeah, probably. So, like you said, Matthias is a really scary man. You meet him in person, the guy's got cuts all over it, or scars all over him from cuts. He's built like a brick outhouse. He walks into a place and he's just imposing. You watch him walk out as well, and he walks out to some nasty West Indian music as well. And there's no one. If I stood in the cage and I was waiting for this guy to walk out, and I saw him walk out, I'd be thinking, do you know what? As you're coming in the door, I'm going out. It's just, yeah, you speak to him, one of the nicest, softly spoken guys you'll come across. But he's finally coming into his own. He's a lot older than people think. He's 37 years old now, Matthias Fredericks. But there's not a huge amount of miles on the clock. This is only his, 12th professional fight. And he's trained with some really talented guys as well in Birmingham. He's part of the UTC camp when that was running, with Joe Silk Cummins, Tom Breeze was there, the Edwards brothers were there, Jake Hadley, literally the who's who from Birmingham were training together. So he's been well groomed, but he does get hit. That's what I think with Matthias. He kind of gets excited and he gets hit. And Jamie Richardson, he's growing into his frame. He's only 24. But he's got that knockout power already, that proper man strength. And he's, as Katie said, he's fast. He's explosive. He's diversifying his training as well, because he's had a really superb grounding with Daz at Force MMA. But by then going across and doing some with Jack and the guys at BKK, it's only going to improve him. That different level of training, the different type of training will only improve him. And Daz has always said that he's a sponge. He soaks up literally everything. He walked in the door as this like chubby 13-year-old, and now he's fighting for a Cage Warriors belt, and deservedly fighting for a Cage Warriors belt, because he's done his apprenticeship up through the ranks. So I think it's going to be a hard-fought fight, but I'm never going to go against my boy. I'm going to choose Natty. He's a good guy, and I'm really happy to see him hold that belt, and I want to see him keep it.
He's doing some training at MTT now as well, isn't he?
Is he?
He's been training with Cole Prince and those guys, I think. Yeah, they've.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Glenn, what's your thoughts on this one? Jamie Richardson and Matthias, big fight.
You've covered it all. To be fair, now I think I've got fight tonight as well. And as much as I couldn't really call it, but I'm gonna say Richardson, because if Richardson wins, back to what we were saying earlier, how must that make Aaron Khalid feel? That somebody he's beat that just won the middleweight world title. Sorry to go back to my Welsh friends, but yeah, like you know, and I mean it's the nicest way possible. Jamie hasn't got a great record either, has he? But some of the people he's been in with, he's been in with, you know, he hasn't been in with cans, been with good guys.
Yeah.
But this is a really tough fight for him. But
I think physically, this is a horrible fight because Matthias is such a beast. But with Matthias, he does come in a bit wild sometimes. He swings absolutely haymaker punches, and I can just see if Jamie can withstand an early storm, which I think he can. I can see him cutting him or something maybe. And like I said, I do feel like Jamie is an underdog because Matthias, he's a champion.
He must be.
He's really physically imposing, so I think he's definitely the favourite. But I've just got a sneaky feeling with this one that Jamie might get it done on the night. So
one of my favourite highlights is his finish against, I think it was Phil Wells, when they both slug in and then he just gassed, he's running across the cage and finishes him against the cage. That's just anything like that, and I'll be happy.
Yeah. And guys, I got to move on to this next fight because we've got so many good ones. The next one, the former middleweight champion James Webb is going to be taking on former UFC welterweight Craig Cartwright. A huge fight. Two really well-known well-known cage warriors fighters, I should say. Two very popular guys. Two guys coming off losses. Katie Hunter, what do you think of this one?
I'm really excited about this matchup. Really excited for Webby. He obviously got back to winning ways, beating Mick Stanton in March. That was a tough fight, and he came through it well. This camp has been a bit different for him because he normally splits his training between our jiu-jitsu school here in Essex and Team KF in Ireland. And obviously there were no flights and the gym was shut down, etc., etc. So he's done a lot of his camp here and he only got reunited with the guys at the end. But I know that he's really enjoying training for these 3-round fights much more than he was for the 5-round title fights. And he's just really got the love back for it and just really enjoying himself again. So Craig obviously coming on a 4-fight losing streak, but 2 of those against super high competition in the UFC. It's a tough one for him, and I'm glad to see him mix it up and take the step up to middleweight because it's a big cut for him. And he always, whenever he's on social media, is always enjoying his food, and he's got a massive frame anyway. So I think middleweight just suits him down to the ground. So I think it will be a really, really good scrap. Again, I've got to pick James Webb, of course, but it would be a massive accolade to him if he can get a UFC vet on his record. But it's not going to be an easy fight. Just looking through Craig's record, a lot of his wins have come by jiu-jitsu, and I should never tempt fate, but I will say it. He will never submit James Webb. His jiu-jitsu is just top level. So I'm going to go with Webby. It could be decision, could be submission. Yeah,
I've struggled with this one because I've come to know both guys from doing all the interviews and going to all the shows, and that they're both really, really nice guys. So this is for me. I think I agree with what you said, Katie. Going up, I think is a good move for Craig, but at the same time, I just think with the style of Webb, yes, I think of Reese Webb, the rugby player there, Glenn. So completely different sport, but with the style of Webby, I think if Craig goes to his back in this one and allows the takedown, allows Webby to lie on top, I can see it being a long night of Webby on top, grinding out a decision. So I'm going to agree and go for Webb as well on this one. Glenn, what do you think about Craig moving up, and how do you see this one going?
My thoughts are weight cut there on now. Water cut in full stop. I do away with a lot of it, I would, and let everyone fight up a weight. But I think the fans just have a better performance from everyone, and I hope it shows with Craig. But he likes to fight off his back a lot, and he takes a takedown. He's brilliant fighting off his back. He likes cutting people. He likes shooting up a triangle and stuff. But I think 2 or 3 of his wins that I've watched, I've been there, and I've thought he's taken a beating and he's pulled the sub out of the bag. But like you said, if he's on his back against Webb, I think he's going to have a long night. I think it could end up like a slugfest on their feet because they've both got good jiu-jitsu. Are they going to want to attempt the jiu-jitsu against each other? We'll see. Could end up staying on his feet, I think. Yeah.
Chris, anything to add to this one?
I think it's going to go to the ground. And I think it's going to be fought entirely on the ground. But I'm going to be completely contrary. Craig White's called Thundercat. He works in the same industry as I do. And he's from the West Country like me. So I'm backing him 100%. Craig White.
Here we go. Contrary Chris Emmanuel. That's what we're going to call him on his
I'm really looking forward to that one, though.
Yeah, same. Both 2 great guys going at it. And like I said, 2 warriors that we really can't wait to see fight in this one.
Warriors or warriors?
I haven't picked anyone.
Who do you reckon then, Glenn?
I don't know. I'm still on the fence.
No, you're not allowed.
You've got to go balls deep on it, Glenn. Come on, take a bit.
I'm gonna go Thundercat as well. And I tell you what, I'm gonna go Thundercat by sub, Katie, just to have a go at you, right?
Oh, okay. Just got no respect for my analysis at all.
No. So that brings us on to the next fight then, and another big fight: Jack Grant versus Yaseen Belhaj. Chris, I'll come to you first for this one. Jack Grant, big name in the lightweight division, really talented guy. What's your thoughts on him against Belhaj?
Jack Grant's won 8 of his last 9. His only defeat has come against
Guy
Herbert. Yeah.
You lost me 20 quid, I did.
Jack Grant is, for the last few years, he's been one of those names that people have talked about because he is so good. Yaseen Belhaj, he's not fought anyone near the level of the people that Jack Grant's fought, and certainly not fought anyone at the level of Jack Grant. He's fought a few times in European beatdown. I recognise
I love that name.
Yeah, I recognise the name of a few of the people he's fought against, but none of them have got anywhere near the skill set that Jack Grant has, and I think that Grant finishes him very quickly.
Yeah, okay, good prediction there. Katie, is it a win? If it's a win for Jack, do you think he gets the next title shot at lightweight?
I think he's got to, hasn't he? Yeah, I do think so, and I think this is one of the more, on paper, and I must admit I haven't seen Yaseen, but on paper it looks to be one of the more one-sided fights, and like I think we all agree Jack's an absolute beast, and I would love to see him get that title shot because, like you say, losing to Jai Herbert is, just nothing to be ashamed of at all. And he's back and he's looking amazing. And even in grappling competitions, he's looking outstanding. So yeah, I see that being Jack.
Glenn?
Yeah, I'm a massive Jack Grant fan. Like I said, before he fought Jai Herbert, I bet my coach Frango 20 quid that Jack for Grant would win. And the reason being, his striking is good. He's a good all-rounder. But a few weeks before, he fought a guy called Ross Nichols. Ross Nichols is a grappler. He's from down by me, and he is unreal. In no time limit, sub only, and they fought for 35 minutes. I've rolled with Ross for 5 minutes, and he subbed me 9 times. He's unreal. And then he only just lost. Jack Grant just lost to him. And funny enough, he lost to Ross Nichols with a heel hook. And that guy, Joseph, how do you pronounce it, Chris?
Yaseen Belhaj is what I called him.
Yaseen Belhaj. 3 of his wins are by heel hook. So, it's a stupid fact too. And then Jack Grant, when I seen him fighting Ross, he lost by heel hook. So, there's a bit of a thing there. But yeah, I'm not going against Grant. I think Grant wins that. And I think, even though you're all against me this afternoon, I think he fights Paddy for the title once my buddy Mason signs for the UFC.
There you go. Good analysis there, Glenn. I'm going to go for Jack as well. Good fight there, all around there, and yeah, that is 4 in the bag for Jack Grant for this one. So
Miles is going for Jack Grant as well. He thinks he gets it done in one.
My mortgage is going in that case. My mortgage on it, Miles boy.
Glenn, don't put any more mortgages on anything, Glenn. We're in another lockdown now, Glenn. You what's going on, mate? Keep the mortgage safe.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, keep that MMA math under your hat, Glenn. On then to the last
I haven't got an hat on today for a change. Look, I haven't got an hat on for a change.
No, rocking the new haircut, Glenn. Is that a MAGA hat, Glenn? You got on?
Oh, what?
MAGA.
Glenn Chaos Williams.
Yeah. There we go. The last fight of the card: Adam Wilson versus Wesley Meyer. Katie, I come to you first for that one. What's your predictions for Adam and Wesley?
Oh, this is so hard for me because I love both of these guys so much. Really was so impressed with the way that Adam took that victory off of Scott Malone in his last fight. Just he lost the first round heavily, and just the way that he took the back in that moment when and how he did was just absolutely sublime, and I think he's absolutely outstanding. But Wesley Meyer trains at GB Top Team, and to see how he's come on in his last few fights has been absolutely beautiful to watch. And just to see him, he's flying knees, and just I was at his last fight at Probellum, and he just looks he's a little bit like Rose Namajunas in the way that he just like kind of flows. And you know, all the people that think MMA is violent and all about people bleeding all over the canvas, I'd love to see them watch somebody like Wesley. It's almost like poetry. So he's also lost to Jack Shaw in the past, but I mean, I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of, and I just think he's a different animal since he started training at GB Top Team. And with that team behind him, I'm so sorry, Adam, because I love you dearly, but I'm gonna go with Magic Meyer.
There you go. Glenn Williams, predictions for this one?
Am I wrong in thinking Meyer stepped in last minute when he fought Tank?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, but yes, I don't know as much as I think Tank is awesome. I wouldn't judge him by that. And there's loads of hype about him. Loads of stuff I read on socials and everything. Everyone's raving about him. So that you know, that tells you then. And I love that back take when he went for the body kick with Adam Wilson as well. So I don't know how to call this myself, but I've gone for Wilson.
Wilson, there we go. 1-1. Chris, round this one off for us, buddy.
I went for Wilson, but it was tough. It was really tough. And do you know what the deciding factor was? That Wesley Meyer seems to fight and win and lose in patches. So he wins 2, he loses 2, he wins 2. And he's won his last 2 against Brian Creighton with the last win that Kate was talking about. So because he's won his last 2, I think he's going to lose the next 2. It's a shame because he's a really, really good fighter to watch. But that was how on the fence I was about it, because in terms of skill set, Meyer looks amazing. But when you look at the way that Wilson's just progressed through his career, and that he's just got better and better. And that win against Scott Malone, and Malone's a super talented fighter. To maintain that unbeaten record, it's a very tough test for him, but I think that Wilson will just about come through.
Yeah, he's asked Jack Cartwright to keep the belt warm for him as well, so he's feeling confident.
I'm going to go for Wilson as well on this one, and I think is that 3-1 for us against Katie on this?
4-1 with Miles.
There we go. Miles adding his votes in again there as well, so thank you for that, Miles. Right, guys, there's a couple on the undercards we're going to talk about, because this undercard is pretty insane. I'm going to come to you. I'm not sure which guys want to talk about which one, so I'll start off, and I'll just say Ben Ellis versus Kingsley Crawford. That's a real big fight. Ben Ellis, of course, is another guy coming out of Wales. He fights over at the Mart Academy with Liu Long and Khalid. A lot of good guys coming out of there. He's undefeated at the moment. He was obviously the Cage Warriors amateur champion in that division, and he's coming in with a lot of hype. He really is a good fighter. I've spoken to guys on Celtic Pride who he was training with in the build-up for this one, and they're all saying the same thing, that Ben Ellis is an absolute beast. So another guy to look out for. I think he's maybe going under the radar a little bit in Wales, with obviously you've got like Oban Elliott, Jack Shaw's, all these big fighters, but Ben is right up there with these guys, and he is another guy who's going to be have to be reckoned with coming out of Wales. So another big guy from our country, and he's got a tough test in this one though, because Kingsley Crawford, I've seen him a couple of times. I've watched him fight at Bama, I've watched him fight at Cage Warriors, and he really puts it all on the line. He's fit, he's very well rounded. And Chris, you know a little bit more about Kingsley. What do you make of this matchup?
Do you know what? I was going to say that this is a really, really good fight, and like it's gone under the radar. So your fellow Welshman, Ricky Wright, just waxes lyrical about Ben Ellis. He loves him. He says about what a talented guy he is. And Ricky, you know, not wanting to blow smoke too far up his backside, the guy knows Welsh MMA inside out. You know, he is Mr. Welsh MMA even more than you, Lewis. But like I said, Kingsley is so talented. But the problem is, it depends what Kingsley comes out. If you get Kingsley at Kingsley's best, Kingsley can beat virtually anyone he's in against. But Kingsley doesn't always perform at his natural level, because he's just so well rounded. It doesn't matter where the fight goes. On his feet, he's technically sound. It doesn't matter if you try and wrestle him. You know, he knows exactly what he's doing. Take him to the ground. His BJJ is just proper legit. So if he comes out as the Kingsley Crawford that I've seen, he beat. I remember watching him as an amateur against Scott Pedersen. I think it was a Warrior Fight Series.
He won the title against Scott, in Edinburgh.
And Pedersen is super talented as well. And Kingsley just looked amazing against him. And every time I've seen Kingsley, you just get this complete polarization of performance. But if it's Kingsley on fire, it's a tough night for Ben. Definitely toughest challenge. But if it's not, then Ben will run through him because he's very, very good.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that fight. A big fight. So,
did one of you two bring up Ben Ellis on our prospect show?
Me.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Yeah.
That was me. I was.
Yeah,
Anyway, can I add a bit about Ben, please, Liv?
Yeah, go on.
So, you got to give kudos to the Cage Warrior setup in Wales at the moment, right? So, Tank was the headliner, then Oban's come through, and you know he's got everything. So, Mason's running everything now, so he's going to sign for the UFC. I think if he wins or loses tomorrow Sunday, he will eventually. And Oban will come behind, and I think Ben will be behind him. Ben has no publicity, goes about his business, and he's got a massive following. He doesn't broadcast himself on social media, just everyone loves him. I've trained with him, and I know how bloody good he is. He is quality. His wrestling, I was at the time, I think I was 35 kilos heavier than him, and he was on top of me. I purposely tried not to use strength, but I couldn't budge him. I couldn't get an inch. His hips, he is so good. His boxing's crisp, he's tight, he's short, he picks his punches. I think, and for his third fight, I think Crawford is a really tough fight for him. But I think when he breezes through him, I think everyone's going to take notice and see him as a genuine contender in a couple of fights' time. Yeah. A great fight I'd like to see him fight. I'd like to fight the same fight James Hendon.
Yeah,
once he beats Crawford, him and James Hendon will be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're gonna get Ben. If he wins this fight against Kingsley, we're gonna get Ben Ellis on straight after, I think, because he's
I have spoken about it. He is keen.
He does need a bit more publicity, so I think we'd definitely get him on and maybe do him and Lou Long at the same time. I think that'll be a good show. So
this isn't MMA Wales, mate. It's MMA UK.
Well, if
Wales are running things, then we get to say.
Well, I love the fact that you missed out the Trailblazers from your breakdown, because come on, Brett Johns won the Cage Warriors belt first of all before Tank. Didn't even mention him. Disgraceful.
Yeah, but he wasn't headlining shows, and I said, "No, was he?" That's what I was getting at.
Chris, don't listen to him, Glenn. He's a troublemaker.
He's shit stirring.
I've been training him with Brett a bit. He probably kick my ass next week. No.
Yeah. Next fight, I want you know, because I know you're a big Ian Gary fan, and he's got a good fight coming up with George McManus on this undercard. I mean, what a stacked undercard this is. What do you see
it's
from
the most insane undercard. Like, I of the 3 nights, this is my favourite fight card. Because I've got another teammate that I want to talk about afterwards, but Ian Gary, who you all know that I've got my favourites, and I'm just besotted with everybody at Team KF. And I just think this guy is going places. So he's really struggled to get fights. He's been was supposed to be on that London card, and he still had that moved to Manchester, and he still hadn't been matched a week out. So in the end, Chris Fields pulled him from that. So I'm just really glad that he got matched and knew his opponent a couple of months out from this one. So really, really, really excited to see him on the card. George, I didn't know that much about. I've had a good look into him, and he hasn't fought for a couple of years. So I'm not too sure what to expect from him, but I just, Ian is one of them people that I just see. His nickname is the Future, and that's exactly what I see when I look at him. He's training with some really great guys, and I just think he's going to go a long way, and I'm so excited to see him back in there.
Yeah, big fight. And what was the next one you wanted to talk about as well, Kate? I know you wanted to mention another.
I'll be really quick. I've got another teammate on the card, Lee Mitchell, who's fighting Nathan Fletcher, and it's just going to be such a good fight. They're very, very, very well matched. They've both beaten Rico Biggs, who I love watching fight as well. Nathan's 3-0, Lee's 3-1. In Lee's pro debut, in the opening exchange, he broke his hand against Liam Gittins, and it was over fairly quickly, but he took a long time to recover from that injury, and now I just think he's exactly where he was always going to be, but just a little bit after we all thought it would be. So this is definitely the stage that Lee deserves to be on. I'm so excited to see him on there. I'm absolutely buzzing to see him put on a show and to be matched against somebody else who's a really, really good guy. Whoever walks away with the win, obviously I'm going to go for Lee on that one, but whoever walks away from the win is going to have something really special on their record.
Yeah, and with Nathan as well, I got to give a shout out to him because he's another graduate of these Cage Warriors.
Yeah, he's a great guy as well.
He fought a couple of those. He obviously a teammate of Paddy Pimlet up in Liverpool, and he won that down in Cardiff. Looked absolutely amazing, and he's really gone on from there. So big shout out to Nathan Fletcher as well, a really talented young guy coming out of Liverpool. And this like you said is two young guys who really want it. So another great fight on this undercard. And I suppose that brings us nicely then on to the Saturday card, which is Cage Warriors 116 on the 26th of September. I think for me and Glenn, this is definitely the one we're both most looking forward to. Obviously, this is going to be headlined by Mason Jones against Adam Proctor for the vacant welterweight title. Obviously, Dalby has gone to UFC. Ross Houston has gone over to Bellator. So we've got an empty title belt.
Reece McKee has gone to
UFC. And that's left none other than lightweight champion Mason Jones and Adam Proctor. Obviously, if Mason gets the win here, he is going to be, I believe he's going to be the first since Conor McGregor to do two titles at once. Obviously, we did have Soren, who had two titles, but he vacated the one before he went down. So it's a huge achievement if he can do it. Mason is obviously super talented, coming in with a huge amount of hype after his last win, a stoppage win for the belt up in Manchester just before lockdown went on. And like Glenn said earlier, this guy's coming up with so much hype. He's really nasty, loves to get a finish, loves to strike, and he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So for me, I'm going to give my prediction straight away here tonight. I got to go for Mason Jones in this one. I just think he's trained so hard. He works so meticulously with his team in every area that I've got to give him the nod in this one. And Glenn, I'll come to you next. How do you see this one going? Give us your technical breakdown on Mason Jones and Adam Proctor, Glenn.
Just to pre-warn you, I haven't wrote anything down for this one, right? Because I'm just going to go on my knowledge for the old card, right? But Mason probably not going to like me saying this. He's a very clever boy, right? He took time out to do boxing. Everything was all focused on doing MMA. If you watch him train and watch him sparring, it's quite boring. He wrestles, he grinds, he does the unseen dirty work. But he knows that on the fight night, what sells tickets and what PS in places is striking. I'm confident a couple of his fights has gone the distance that he's been throwing bombs and trying to make it entertaining. He could have easily took him down, could have easily wrestled and bored him. I'm confident he didn't because he wants to be exciting. That's the type of guy he is. I mean, he's a black belt at judo, he's a black belt at BJ, he's a black belt at kickboxing, and he's a pro boxer. What more credentials do you need to go to the UFC? I think I think he's gonna need a lot of them against Proctor, mind. That being said, I still think he walks through him.
And Mason as well. He's been training out in Ireland with Rhys McKee for this one. He's obviously he's done a lot of sparring out with Rhys, a lot of good training out there, and he's up for this one. He's really up for it. He wants to take that little bit of history, I think, in this one, doesn't he, Glenn?
Yeah, definitely. And like even before lockdown, he's always gone everywhere to train. He doesn't even know a stone unturned. He's got obviously stuff like that costs, and he's always been able to. So, for me, everything's built this moment, and he is. How can I put it? He's a pressure fighter as well. He fights better under pressure. You only got to see what he did to McColgan. I mean, if he finished McColgan, who is really, really highly ranked in the first round, who does that to him? So yeah, I just think when the pressure's on, I think he rises to the occasion, and I just think he's going to finish him early. I'm going to go second on finish.
Brilliant. And Chris, I want to come to you next, because obviously you've got us two Welsh guys blabbing on about Welsh fighters, giving our biased predictions probably. But what do you make of this fight, and what do you think about Mason stepping up a weight as well? Because Adam's no joke. He's bigger than Mason. He's a real welterweight. Mason, I think, is definitely a lightweight moving forward after this fight, regardless of what the result is. Do you think it's dangerous for him moving up a weight?
Yeah, but it's a big lightweight though, isn't he? You watch him up against his peers when he's just been blasting through the division. He's just an absolute mountain of a guy. So it's difficult because he's on a 7-fight win streak, and there's a lot of noise made about Proctor maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know whether it's confidence issues or not, but he doesn't seem to have, even though he's had these wins, he doesn't seem to have progressed to the level that was probably expected of him 3 or 4 years back. Is it Alex Edlund he trains with up at SPG in the Northeast?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, he's his little protege, isn't he? Proctor reminds me of like a British Rory McDonald. He's just got a complete skill set, but he doesn't seem to, any personality he has, he's very introverted. He doesn't seem to exude that, which doesn't seem to lend himself to the MMA audience, I suppose, which is a shame, because in terms of skills, he's brilliant. You look at the people he's beaten a who's who around Europe. Only lost was to your Welsh guy, Aaron Khalid, back in 2015. His BJJ is absolutely top class, but Mason comes in with this aura of confidence about him, which has been built up through deserved victories. I think that he's just going to be quicker and stronger and faster at welterweight. I don't think it's actually going to be a bad thing for him to fight closer to what looks around will be his walk around weight. And like Glenn said, the win against Joe McColgan, I remember watching McColgan just take apart Peter Queally and Bama when no one even knew who he was. Jones has beaten some amazing guys to get to where he is, and I do think he's going to be UFC bound very shortly. It's not going to be a walkthrough. Certainly won't be easy against Proctor, but I'll probably side with you Welsh guys and say that Mason Jones will be a champ.
There we go. That's 3 for Mason Jones and Mason the Dragon. Katie, I want to come to you lastly. Obviously, your good friend Lewis Mason. How do you see this fight with Mason going against Adam?
I'm going for Jones as well, but I hope people will appreciate what an amazing feat that is, because I do think that Proctor is outstanding, and I think part of the reason he doesn't get the accolades he deserves is going back to what you said, Chris, and the fact that he doesn't kind of exude the same kind of, not personality, but just I saw a post from him the other day saying he needs to get better at social media. And he hasn't posted anything before that. He's not gobby on the mic. And I think people like that tend to go under the radar. So while I am going for Mason, I hope that people appreciate what a ridiculously exciting fight this is to have on the card, and the fact that, it's not going to be a walk in the park.
Yeah, and Mason's promised fireworks as well. So, if he's saying that, like Glenn said, he wants to do it, I think there's definitely going to be an exciting matchup there for us.
It's not just topping the bill Saturday, it's topping the old trilogy in it. So after having three big nights, and then to finish that, he's going to finish on high. Could potentially be his last Cage Warriors fight. So he's not going to go in and be a lethargic, taking down and board him. He's going to go throw caution to win and go for it. Yeah,
definitely. And that brings us on then to another title fight on that Saturday card. Morgan Shari versus Max Koga for the vacant featherweight title. Chris, I'll come to you first on this one, buddy. What do you see from this one?
I see Morgan Charrier literally drilling through Max Koga. Look at what Morgan Charrier did to Dean Truman, and Truman's legit. But Koga looks good on paper. He's 22-6-1. But this is just set up for Charrier, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Charrier then headline a Cage Warriors event in France early next year.
Yeah, I think that's what's on the cards, though, look a bit, isn't it? So definitely a favourite there for Charrier, I think. And Katie, do you agree with that?
Well, I did 100% agree with that. That was literally exactly what I would have said until we had Aidan Stephen on the Cage Warriors special late show. And he was saying that he thinks a lot of what went wrong for Dean Truman in the fight with Morgan was the weight cut. And obviously he moved up straight after that. So I don't know if there's any truth in that or what Aidan knew. But then I started looking through Max Koga's record, and like it looks impressive, but like he's a lot of those losses aren't recent. One of them's to Lance Palmer, who obviously went on to win like the $1 million in PFL. Like it was in that tournament. So I'm still going to go for Morgan Charrier, but I'm less confident than I was, and I'm putting that down to everything that Aidan said on the show. But now
Aidan's
Chris
a
is
general
talking me
gambler,
back
though.
into it.
You never listen to Aidan. Look at Aidan's timeline, and if you watch him, it's betting for the UFC. Definitely don't put your mortgage on that. I wouldn't even put your pocket money on it.
There you go. Shout out to Aidan as well. Glenn, what would you see on this one? Anything different from that?
No, like you said about Morgan, I think it was Morgan that I thought would be the 98 to 900 UFC fighter. But it'd be interesting to him headline a show in France, wouldn't it? But I think
He's
Morgan,
got such a huge following.
Truman, you look at his social media, like everything is written about him, like, and he's loved, and that's a big part of getting into the UFC now. I know it shouldn't be; it should all be about skill and talent, but it's about you marketing yourself as well, isn't it?
He's got
80,000
followers
Morgan as well. As much as Max has obviously experienced, he's been in with some great guys. I think Morgan will finish him.
There you go.
80,000. Yeah, I'll do it.
No, it's not bad, is it? It's not bad at all.
Well, I ain't one of them, right?
Kieran Lister versus Tom Mearns. Then Kate Hunter, I'll come to you first.
Did you give your prediction, Lewis?
Yeah, I'm going with Charrier as well. I think he's gonna do the business that you said. That fight against Truman, he looks like the real deal. So
it's insane. Yeah,
I'm gonna go with him for that one. And there's a lot of pressure on that fight as well. You know, there's a lot of hype on Twitter from Dean. Dean was obviously talking a lot. Dean, very, very talented guy. So for me, I think that is his. And, you know, Max Koga, I think it's going to be either a long night or a very short night for him in this one. But, yeah, Morgan. And then, as Chris said, I think he's going to go and headline that card over in Paris or another part of France whenever Cage Warriors are able to get over sometime next year. But yeah, the next one then is Kieran Lister versus Tom Mearns. A good fight there. Katie, I'm coming to you for that one.
Okay. Tom Mearns. He was the guy that I interviewed after he was supposed to fight on Bellator, and he didn't get his doctor's sign off to say that his weight was in the right place in time. So he ended up signing for Cage Warriors after that. He was supposed to fight Dylan Logan on Bellator. He's lost to some really great guys. So although his record doesn't look great at 6-4, he's lost to Micah Candeo, Aidan Lee, and Kieran Lister. I don't know as well, but he's beaten one of the people that Tom's lost to. If you're going to go by MMA maths, like my good friend Glenn. But I'm not sure. I'm leaning towards Tom Mearns on this one and his experience.
Chris, I'll come to you next for this one, buddy. Tom and Kieran, who are you picking?
Well, I know Tom because he trains at BST as well. Tom was 5-0, and then he fought against Aidan Lee, and Aidan's a big, rangy fighter, and it's a really, really close decision. It could have gone either way. I think it was round 2, which could have gone either way, and he ended up losing the decision 29-28. But the next fight against Akindao that Katie mentioned, Tom posted as Akindao airlines. He picked him up, carried him across the cage, went to slam him down as he always does. And
Evil
Tom poked his
Hombre.
arm down. Yeah, and he dislocated his elbow. And from there, he just, you see him in training, he's still an absolute beast. Him and his twin brother, they go at it. They really go at it, and they give all of the youngsters in the gym, including the very talented Jordan Vucenic, who we're going to talk about later. They give him proper rounds. But Tom has lost 4 of his last 5, but he's fought against really, really high-level fighters as well. If Kieran can keep Tom out range, then it's not going to be a great night for Tom, because Tom, whilst the striking's really powerful, he doesn't strike well at a distance. He's better close in, dirty boxing. But if Tom gets hold of Kieran, Tom's going to just chuck him around like a rag doll, because it's just the way he is. So I'll always back Tom because he's my boy. I like Tom and his brother Richard. So I'll back Tom simply off the fact that he's a BST guy, and I really, really want him to win.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to back Tom as well for this one. Like you said, with the caliber of fighters he's got with him, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go for a Tom wins win on this fight there. Glenn Williams, last but not least, what's your prediction for this fight?
Tom, I'm not really sure of him much. I watched them, I've seen them both fight, and I knew both their records, but I'm not sure about their styles, but I'm just going to go Tom.
Yeah. And this brings us on to our next fight. Now, do you know what? I've literally just read this on the card, right? And I read all the fights when they came out initially. And this one, there's so many good fights, I forgot about this fight. And I just saw it now, and I'm like, oh my God, this is such an insane fight. And it is Paul Hughes versus Aiden Stephen. We've got 2 absolutely unbelievable featherweights going out here. This could, to me, I know obviously I'm a hardcore fan, but to me, this could headline like a smaller show for Cage Warriors.
Yeah.
Both guys are so good. You've got Paul Hughes, who's coming in off this tremendous win streak, just looked like an absolute animal. But then, on the other hand, you've got Scotland's Aiden Stephen, who, he's looked the real deal. Obviously, he took a loss to Steve Abel a couple of months back. He's got a win since, but this guy looks absolutely insane as well. I definitely think Aiden is a little bit further up the ladder in his career, a little bit, further along in terms of time, but at the same time, Paul Hughes looks like the real deal. Every time we've seen him fight, he just gets better and better. He's so physically strong.
How old is he?
He's young,
really young.
I don't know his age, but I mean, these two guys are absolutely insane. And for me, I'm going to predict an Aiden Stephen decision, but I'm not confident because both these guys are so good. They're both so talented. This, you know what? I completely forgot about this fight, but this could be one of the fights of the trilogy as well. This could be my third outside bet for Paul Hughes, Aiden Stephen. This could be one of the fights of the trilogy. I think it's an insane fight, and I'm really looking forward to this one. Actually, Katie, I'll come to you for this one because I know you felt the same way as well. Who do you see winning this one, and what sort of fight are we going to have from these two boys?
I think it will be super exciting. There is so much hype behind Paul Hughes. Just all of the Irish media obviously get excited about all their up and coming talent, but there's the kind of hype behind him that kind of comes out of gyms, comes out of knowing who people are training with and what they can do with them in training. And for him, it's a massive step up in competition. So people will really get to see with Paul whether it is hype or whether it's the real deal. And I think it's the real deal, but he's fighting Aiden Stephen, who is just
also
a beast. And and I just, I'm so excited for this fight. I'm going with Aiden. The other thing is they've both been in, Aiden's never in a boring fight. All of Paul's fights have been highlight reels so far. It's just going to be epic, and I can't wait for it. And just like you say, you forget about some of these fights because the whole cards are just absolutely insane. And yeah, it's just one that I'm really, really looking forward to. I'm going to go Aiden. But I think it's going to be far from an easy night for him.
Yeah, Glenn, how do you see this one, buddy?
I don't think it's going to be another highlight reel at all, but I do think I'm going to go Paul Hughes by decision.
Yeah. Anything else to add, Alan, or are you just going for the simple one for this one?
I think he's frozen.
Yeah, I think Glenn's frozen. So, Chris, I'll come straight. I'll pass that straight over to you, Chris. Paul Hughes was Aiden Stephen.
I'm going to go with Aiden the Degenerate Stephen. He's awesome. He's just such a good guy, but he's such a silky smooth, talented fighter. And I'm even going to say second round submission for Aiden Stephen as well.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
what's happened there. On my back or?
You're back, then.
And with saying this as well, how good both guys are. Like, I think Aiden's just about going to scrape through. I think it's going to be a really, really close fight. I think it's going to be maybe one of the fights of the trilogy. If Paul does beat Aiden, I mean, how good does that mean he is? Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God, yeah.
That's another thing we're not talking about here. Glenn, do you have anything you want to add? Obviously, you froze just before that then.
Yeah, I forgot to knock my Wi-Fi on, so I've been using my data, but it's not my Wi-Fi on. It went off, so I'm going to keep on my data. Yeah, but Paul Hughes, I think the new crop they got coming out of Ireland, and I think the new crop youngsters we got in general are just a different breed a minute. So I'm going to go Paul Hughes by decision, and I don't think it's going to be a spectacle of a fight. I think it's going to be, they're going to cancel each other out a bit. Technically, it's going to be good, but for the untrained eye, I think it's going to be quite boring probably. So I'm going to go Paul Hughes on a decision win.
Yeah.
Oh, well up for that. So MMA Scotland said, good luck to Aiden Stephen and our adopted son, Luke Shanks. And Peter Knox said, Aiden's going to fuck him up.
Well, Luke Shanks isn't fully adopted. Luke Shanks' dad's Scottish. So he is a Scot, really.
And Miles is going for Aiden as well.
Yeah, thank you, Miles. Chris Manuel, I'm going to start off for you for this next fight. Another good fight. Sam Creasy versus Nicholas LeBlanc. What do you see in this one?
I've watched Sam throughout his career, interviewed him quite a few times. Love that guy. He's such a beautiful fighter to watch. He just epitomizes what a martial artist is, puts his entire life into it. He's just been so unlucky. He's just been caught a couple of times in his career. But when you see Sam at his best, like when he fought Paul Marin, Sam Creasy is an absolute danger for anyone. And I'm just praying that this is Sam's time. Because I think that as we said earlier on, the 125 division is really, really strong. We've got the title fight where Luke should, we tend that Luke should win. But then we've got the Jake Hadley fight versus Hajj. Sam, I think, is also in the mix, probably after the Hadley winner. So it probably needs to. It's going to beat Nicholas LeBlanc. LeBlanc's not fought anyone anywhere near Sam's ability. Sam's won 4 of his last 6. Still trains with Kev Capel, who's one of the best BJJ guys in the country. RJ Bucks. He's moved job now. He's actually a coach at the Fight Clinic in Bucks. Sam. So he's getting another level of training across there as well. So I can see Sam making himself 12-3 and then probably having a title eliminator fight afterwards. But I'd love to see Sam with that belt around his waist because he deserves it. He's just one of the best people in MMA. He's such a nice, lovely fella. And you just want to see nice things happen to nice people. So 100% team Samurai.
Yeah, there we go. I'm not too familiar with Nicholas LeBlanc, I'll be honest. So I'm going to go with Sam just on the knowledge I've got of him and seeing the people that he's fought and the level he's competed at. So I'm going to go with Sam with you on that one there, Chris. Glenn Sledge, what's your thoughts on this one, LeBlanc versus Creasy?
Oh, I've made it no secret that I'm not a fan of watching the 125s, but I like watching Sam Creasy. I think he's, like you said, Chris, he just got that aura about him as an MMA fighter. I like I said earlier, but his fight with Dez, if you can watch that and not enjoy either watching one of them two after that, then you shouldn't be watching an MMA. So yeah, I'm going to go Sam Creasy. Again, I don't know that much about Nick Best, but I'm a big Sam fan, so I'm hoping he wins. There
we go. Katie Hunter?
I actually think that he's got a lot of people to watch that division. I think he's I totally agree. He makes it easy to be a fan. And I think everybody's heart's broken for him when he's lost those 2 title fights. And like Chris said, for that reason, I think he'll probably be behind. Even if he wins this one, he's going to need one more before he gets his title shot again, just because he's had to. But I think every neutral out there is going to want to see him with the belt round his waist. He just seems like a beautiful person. He's a lovely martial artist to watch. And Yeah, I don't know anything about Nicolas LeBlanc other than looking up his record, and he just doesn't seem, certainly on paper, to be on Sam's level. Plus, has Sam not got the best fight name? All right.
I've even got a samurai tattoo. I would say
right.
There you go.
But also, can I give a shout out to Sam's daughter Mila, who is probably one of the funniest 4-year-olds that I've ever seen on social media. That kid is just hilarious.
Goulash.
Yeah.
So that is the last of our 3 main cards. Obviously, that was going to be starting at 7:30 on Fight Pass. A hell of a card, guys. Don't miss that one. I would say it's going to be great. And we've got a couple on the undercard again we want to talk about, and I think we've got a little bit of vested interest here for both Katie Hunter and Chris Emmanuel, obviously, in the fight that's going to be headlining the pro prelims. These start at 6:30, and the top of this card is going to be, of course, Steve Diddy Kong Imable versus Jordan Buchanek. Katie, I'll come to you first because I know how close you are with Steve. You're a training partner. You're a big fan of his. You always kind of follow him and do the interviews with Steve. What did you make of this fight, and how do you see it going? I don't know why I'm asking, really, because I'll answer.
Yeah, you could answer for me, I know, but I was really excited to see this matchup. I really love Jordan, and I have to say, in pretty much any other matchup, I'd be wanting him to win. I would really like his style. I like his manner, and I think he's a great fighter. And for Steve, I felt like when I spoke to him, he was maybe hoping for an opponent a bit closer to the title, because I think for Jordan it's a step up in competition for him, and I don't know, maybe Steve feels like they're treating him as a bit of a gatekeeper in this fight almost. But I think he's going to show. I think that Jordan's going to go on to great things, but I think it will be after this fight. I think Steve's got too much experience. He's got a point to prove. And I just see him having too much. He also, feels hard done by the decision in his last fight, and I think that he's gonna go out there, and again, he's somebody who's never in a boring fight. And yeah, I absolutely love him. I've got to go with my boy Steve.
There we go. Before I come to you, Chris Manuel, I just want to point out something Peter Knox is leaving in the comments. He's saying Chris and Katie should bet and lose it as a forfeit on this fight. I'm definitely up for that. I would definitely back the loser to do a forfeit in this one. I think guys maybe leave something in the comments, or maybe we decide amongst ourselves.
Send me your suggestions.
We will, and we will decide amongst ourselves after the suggestions come in.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to see Katie embarrass herself on TV.
I'm confident.
There we go. So we'll think about that one, guys. Forfeits for these two guys. And Chris Emmanuel, I know we had.
Can I decide it?
You can say something.
I reckon the loser dresses up as the other person for the next late show. Chris got to wear a blonde wig and act like Katie with a glass of wine, and you've got to draw a beard on for the next late show.
And shake got to my head.
Or chuck something on, isn't it?
I think we can do better than that, Glenn. I gotta be honest.
Big massive wine glass, Chris. I can see you now.
If you do blackface, though, Katie, it's not going to end well for you in your career.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think we'll go there.
If Chris has got to drink a glass of wine that big, I don't think it's going to end well for him either. So
I work in the same industry. Don't underestimate me.
Yeah. Chris, I want to come to you next because I know Jordan obviously popped up on the chat earlier. So apologies we kept you waiting so long for this, Jordan. If you have gone to bed, come up, rewind it tomorrow and watch this one. But I want to hear your man Chris Emmanuel talk about you in this one, and how do you see him getting on against a veteran in Steve Imable?
First time I saw Jordan Vucinic, he was 19 years old, and he strolled into Battle Arena 40-something or other in a nightclub in Leicester. Walked in entirely on his own, no corner whatsoever. Fought against Jeff Agundo, who's just absolute beast of a man. Jeff spent the first round just doing his usual, just trying to completely overwhelm him. And he got this 19-year-old kid who looks like he's just strolling in off the street to soak up the pressure, take it, and then just obliterate Jeff throughout the rest of the fight. You fast forward 4.5 years. Jordan's been training at BST with JB Graham, who's one of the best Muay Thai coaches in the world. You know, JB's taken people like Timmy Thomas around the world. You've got you're training with Danny Batten, who in my opinion is the most underrated MMA coach on the planet. That guy's literally got the best MMA. He's got the worst brain in actual life because he's probably the biggest deviant I've ever met in my life. However, MMA wise, he is just an absolute encyclopedia of knowledge. He's so good. Jordan's been working with Big Lucas Lepianka on his BJJ. He's been working specifically on his strength and conditioning. Now, Jordan used to balloon up in weight. He used to go up to the 80s in between fights. Not anymore. Jordan sits around 70, 72. Yet he's still got this frame. And JB posted a picture recently of Jordan 3 years ago where he's got this little, straight frame. Now Jordan's just this this cut man who is just astounding. So I've watched him for years. Every morning, every Saturday morning, he has his session with JB from 7 till 9. And I take my little girl in to have her one-to-one with JB from 9 till 10. So we always arrive early. We watch Jordan, and I've never seen anyone move like him. He is the best talent that is in the UK at the moment. He is absolutely going to the UFC, and he's absolutely going to the top of the UFC. I've got absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever. This kid is that good. He's never been to a nightclub. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He's just dedicated his entire life to MMA. And yeah, Steve Aimable's a great guy. He's a really talented fighter. But Jordan's fought great guys. He fought Common Day, he fought Rashid Hajj. He beat Shahab Yusuf in their pro debuts. He's fought on ACB, he's fought with Gladiator, he's fought in Cage Warriors. He's not an underdog when it comes to experience at all. Steve, I care to have more fights and he's older than him, but Steve isn't going to get anywhere near Jordan. Jordan is better than Steve in every single department. That kid is absolutely amazing. Steve is brilliant. I apologize to Steve. This isn't a slight on him because Steve is a really, really good fighter, but Jordan is just something else. So I'll take that bet. I'll absolutely take that bet. I do not have to buy a blonde wig. Katie has to shave her hair and she has to blackface.
There you go. Chris, you've really hyped me for that fight now. So big shout out to Jordan, Steve. That's going to be a hell of a fight. You've really hyped me up for this one now.
Jordan, I'll be on your side for every fight after this going forward. I promise. Jordan, I am a fan usually. I promise.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to this one now, guys. So thank you for that, Chris. You've definitely done a good job hyping that one, and you've definitely done a good job hyping Jordan as well. So best luck to both guys there. And
I wouldn't blow smoke up his ass if I didn't believe it. Honestly, it's a cocky little git. But he's like an English Oban Elliott. He's cocky, he's brash, but he's very likable, and he's got the full package. That kid.
Yeah, fair play. And Katie, there's one more question I just want to pitch to you because we've just spoke about a lot of fights. We've been going now an hour and 37 minutes, a long time, a lot of great fights on this card. But Joe Barton, he's put a spanner in the works and said any women fights is. As far as I can see, there's no women fights on these 3 cards. What's your take on that?
I must say, I was so blown away by the cards that I hadn't actually noticed until he pointed it out. But I guess it's no surprise that there aren't, now that Corey's left Cage Warriors. And
I think Corey was the only signed woman Cage Warriors.
Yeah, so they definitely need to sign some female talent, but just look at how difficult it was for them to get fights for the girls that they have had. So yeah, I'm not that surprised when I think about it, but it would be great to see them sign some more talent. But it's a great reason why Corey's not on any of these cards is because she's signed to the UFC and she's got her debut in November. So they've done.
I think in the next year or two, you're going to see the crop of. I apologize, I forgot the second name. What's Joe, the one who coaches the English women's team?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
She's done an amazing job. So I think you're going to see the crop of them youngsters come through, and the Cage Warriors are going to snap up most of them, along with my old teammate Steph. I mean, there is a big market for all them now. As 5 years ago, they didn't have that setup, but now the setup's coming through, and I think the females within the next year or two are really going to start taking on the local and European stages around with us, and they're going to see more women's fights and shows.
Chris,
I don't know why. Oh, sorry, go on, Lewis.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you obviously do a little bit behind the scenes with obviously Battle Arena, so you know a little bit more about it than me. But how difficult is it to sort of match women on cards these days? You know, at a particular level, especially.
Very. The problem is there is talent in the UK. There's some really, really big talent, and I think Kate, you interviewed Chanel Dye, didn't you, quite recently? Yeah. That girl is just mint. You know, she is so good. But there isn't a big enough talent pool, and with the way that the world is at the moment, with the pandemic and issues with flights and people coming in and out, and the testing that needs to be done, because Cage Warriors have been very vocal about the fact they're doing the testing as well for people. Yeah. You need to have the world reopen again, and across Europe, there's a hell of a talent pool of women. You know, I used to manage Marlon Hermansen up until very recently, and we picked her up from Erdifer, which is just a very small regional show, and took her into Bellator. We struggled to get Marlin fights as well at one point. But then you look across at Sweden, you've got Anna Asvik, who's a former IMAF European and world champion. There's Ellen Oberg as well over there. Millie, I can't remember her surname. There's a whole sweep of girls over there, but you try and get them over here for a UK card, no hope at the moment. You're going to struggle to get them up until last weekend. You couldn't even travel from Sweden without having a 2-week quarantine in the UK before being able to go anywhere. That's just not financially viable for Cage Warriors, who can't even have a crowd come into the venue to watch it to actually cover some of the cost of the show. So I can understand why they haven't got female fighters on there at the moment, but I think when the world reopens, they probably will, because they've been good with bringing female fighters through as well. Can't be in testament to that. And Ian Dean has got a hell of an eye for talent. If he sees someone who's good, he will snap them up and he'll find them fights. We had Marlon on Cage Warriors out in Sweden a few years ago. I think it was a pro debut, actually. We had her out there. So they understand the women's market very well. They match very well, like they always do across every single male weight category as well. So, I don't think
there's also tons of talent on the academy cards. That's where Chanel Dye has had a load of her fights at Cage Warriors Academy South East. So a lot of those do feed through to Cage Warriors, and I can think of 3 or 4 girls that are fighting on just the South East card that could go on to Cage Warriors. But like you say,
there's politics as well, because there's a limited number of females who are fighting at got a certain level of ability. A lot of them do train together, or their coaches get them to train with each other, and then you start to have this reticence to actually compete with each other unless it's for something really worthwhile. Now, just featuring on a Cage Warriors card is a great thing, full stop. But unless it's actually going to progress their career, if it's just a one-off fight, they're not necessarily going to want to fight someone that they've trained and sparred with and who knows them inside out. They're going to want to have people from outside come in to fight with them. So until you can actually have international travel again, I think we are going to struggle to see the women's divisions in the UK get the attention that they deserve.
Yeah. And, I think I speak for us when I say we're really looking forward to getting more women on these cards in the future. And I've seen the girls getting they compete because they really do bring it. And we're seeing that at UFC now. I think we'll, like Glenn said, I think we'll see it in the coming months as well. But guys, that's been a lot of fights we've got.
Can I mention one more fight, Lewis? I know I'm breaking all the rules.
Go on, Kate. You mention it now.
I'm so sorry. Joshua Ronwaldi is fighting Jack Collins on the undercard on Saturday as well, and that's just another fight that's going under the radar. But I don't know why Joshua's been out for a while. I wanted to get him on for an interview, but just completely ran out of time with all these zillions of cards that are going on at the moment. But I see him having a very good and emphatic night on the Saturday of Cage Warriors, and he's one to look out for. We had him on the Rock card. He's a spectacular talent. So, yeah, shout out to him.
I agree.
There we go. Guys, I want to just come last question. Glenn Williams, I'll come to you first. What's your thoughts on these 3 cards? How much are you looking forward to it? And what's your fight of the trilogy going to be?
Fight of the trilogy. I'm going to have to say Mason and Proctor, but Richardson and then Matthias. That's what I've marked in my book as fight the trilogy. So I'm going to stick by that one.
Yeah. And Kate, same question for you. What are you most looking forward to for this one? I'll go on, Glenn. Finish off first. Ooh, you the Glenn? You there,
Oh,
Glenn?
I don't want to sound like it builds up quite well, doesn't it? Starts off. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, this put Albert Wi-Fi in his this murder. Oh, I think it's a credit to Ian Dean again. It's that they build it up and build it up. I would like to put Grant a bit further on the Saturday because I think even though he's his top of a good card on a Friday, I think for me he's one of the most exciting there. But they build it up and then they finish with the fights as they go on the Saturday. That's just going to add to the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Katie, what are you looking forward to, and what overall? How excited are you for this 3 nights of MMA?
I can't put it into words how excited I am. I literally can't. It's better than all my Christmases come at once. Like after having no MMA for such a long time, I just think, I'm really excited for the Bellator cards coming up, and there's some really great fights on those. But for me, you go through and like we've had to pull how many fights off the undercard to talk about because we just can't not. Like they just all, every time there's been an announcement, it's absolutely blown my socks off. So I find it really, really hard to pick one fight. But after hearing Chris talk about Jordan like that, I'm going to go for Stephen Jordan's fight as my fight of the trilogy.
Yeah, fair play. For me, like just to echo what you said there, Katie, all Christmases come at once at the moment after not having any Cage Warriors for a while. And I can't even pick a main fight, I don't think, now. Listen, I got to go for a top 3. And my top 3 is Frederick and Jamie Richardson, Paul Hughes and Aiden Stephen, and Mason Jones and Adam Proctor, I think, is one of those 3 fights. You got a lot of good fights coming up when you got to pick a top 3 for fight.
Yeah.
3 cards, I'll go for 3 fights that I think got a chance of being the best there. And I'm really looking forward to this one. Chris, I'll give it off to you on this one, buddy. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
For me, obviously, my fight of the trilogy has got to be Jordan versus Steve, because I think this is going to be Jordan's coming out party. This is going to be fighting against a really talented guy. But we're going to see the future of British MMA, I think, or English MMA definitely, because I don't want to get in an argument with you Welsh guys. But outside of that, if we're talking about main card fights, the one for me is Hadley versus Hack. Again, these 2 guys are just so much fun to watch. Very different styles, but they're 2 supremely talented fighters. So for me, Vucenic and Hadley and Hack.
Brilliant. Well, there we are, guys. If you have stuck with us through this entire 1 hour and 47 minutes, big credit to you. We really appreciate you. And I think leave a message and try and get Peter Knox to send you a t-shirt if you stuck with us the whole way through here, because that was an epic show. We've talked about a lot of fights. Obviously, it's worth it because we've got so many big fights coming up. We're all absolutely buzzing for it now. And Thursday night the first one goes down, and we're on there until Saturday. Guys, I just want to say a big thank you for joining me. Always appreciate your insights, and I will see you all soon. Okay.
Thanks, Lewis.
Thank you, Lou. All the best, everyone. That's me out.
You guys.
Ta-ra.